Welcome back to the Top 8 debate for Everyday Board Game Podcast for the Top 8 crowdfunded board games. We are in the semifinals now, where we will have Gloom Haven versus Architects of the West Kingdom and Scythe versus Blood Rage. Let's start it off strong with Gloom Haven and Architects of the West Kingdom.
I'll take Architect.
I'll take Gloom Haven, one of your favorite games of all time.
Actually, my favorite game of all
The
time.
favorite. So, do we just want to move it on right now? Just because, I mean, if you've listened to our quarterfinals, you'll understand that I just don't like Architects. I think it's a fine game. I understand why people like it. I just really disliked it, personally.
Honestly, let's just do the breakdown real quick, just for people can say we're not having a bias on this.
Right, okay.
That we're literally going to break it down for everybody to hear.
Fair enough. All right. Meaningful choices, Gloom Haven. Art and production,
Yep.
Gloom Haven. Ease of play, Gloom Haven. Replay value, Gloom Haven. And immersion, Gloom Haven. All right, let's pass it on. And
Ease of play, I will not give Gloom Haven. I'll give it to Architects of the West Kingdom.
Okay,
Everything else I'll give to Gloom Haven.
Okay.
4-1.
Yeah, immersion. I mean, just the story, the choices that you have. Well, I mean,
Minimum number of plays for full experience, just right there with the replay value.
Yeah.
Statistically, I think you need like 90 plays just to get the full play of Gloom Haven.
Sure, yeah. And well, as far as meaningful choices, I could also see it going to Architects.
I can
understand
see it too, but the impacting other players in meaningful choices, it's more impactful in Gloomhaven because it's a co-op. You're trying to work with the other players rather than screw them over.
Yeah. But what I do doesn't necessarily affect you that much. Whereas what I do in Architects, it really affects you.
See, I'm playing through the campaign of Gloomhaven, and I'm the tank. I'm the guy who can take the most hits. I can be the sponge for my wife's character and our friend Jim's character, who are more magic users, who use their abilities more than taking damage. So I got to make sure they're protected.
Okay, that's fair. All right, cool. Then let's give it to Gloomhaven. That was an easy one.
So Gloomhaven, move on. This is going to be a short video.
Well, I mean, it's not like Architects put up much of a fight.
The next one's going to be a little bit more difficult, but this one is going to be a short video just because it took us, a minute to decide Gloomhaven was moving on?
I mean, I'm glad Architects went up against Gloomhaven, personally, because I'm glad to see Architects go away. And that's a shame, because I liked Raiders of the North Sea quite a bit. And
I actually prefer Architects over Raiders of the North Sea. However, I prefer Paladins of the Western Kingdom more than I prefer Architect.
You know, the weird thing is, take a guess what my favorite Shen Phillips game is.
It's not Raiders. I'm going to just take a random stab at Circadia First Light.
Nope. Noctilica is my favorite from him.
Yeah, I forgot that was his too.
Yeah, and that's the only one of his that I own, and it's a phenomenal game, with the exception of the color specifics, but it's gorgeous and it's really smart design.
Okay, so just so
like what he does.
Knows, Architects of the West Kingdom made $320,000, or $320,373.56 in New Zealand dollars. That translates to, where is it? 526,052, with a goal at the time of being 34,000 New Zealand dollars, which translates to like 25,000 US.
That's a lot of money for a small worker placement game. That barely fits in the box.
No. That one fits better in the box than, say, Paladins of the West Kingdom.
That's true. That one's a beast. I don't they just need to make it a big, they need to make it a Ticket to Ride size box, really. That's too small. Which would be a knock for its production value. In my opinion.
I really want that box annoys me for Paladins.
Yep. All right. So Scythe versus Blood Rage.
So again, another good, interesting bracket here, because I love both of these games, and in fact, I believe both of these games are in my top 10 games of all time.
Yeah.
I think Blood Rage has been moved out because of Rising Sun, but they were at one point in my top 10.
Sure. I know which one I feel is probably going to move on, but let's go down the choice. Is there any of these that are immediately obvious?
Ease of play for Blood Rage.
Okay. Yep, I'll give that. It is just easier to play. If you're wondering why, look at our previous video. We made arguments for both of them. Scythe,
Yeah.
it just has so many moving parts, and there's so much to do.
The action selection, don't get me wrong, is not difficult, but there's so much to it that you have to remember. Because not only when you do the action selection, you're taking the top action for sure.
Yeah.
But if you meet the requirements, you can take the bottom action as well.
Yeah. It's if you think about it, just diluted. What are they both doing on the board? They're both doing resource management. What are they both doing as far as their cards? Blood Rage, you're drafting. Scythe, you are choosing a plethora of actions, which you can only choose. Already.
And there's 12 different requirements that you need to make in Scythe.
Yeah.
Whereas
Blood Rage is just most points.
So you need to win some battles. You need to win some. You got to get your military up. You got to do all these things to get stars. So there's just so much to go for on easy play.
So let's talk about replay value then.
So length of time and scaling well easily goes to Blood Rage.
Yeah.
Blood Rage, a 5-player game of Blood Rage will not take as long as a 3-player game of Scythe.
Right. Yep.
Which is my preferred Scythe. I do not want to play with 6 people again. I'm sorry.
No, and nor will we.
So I think that was your first play, was a 6-player game of Scythe.
Yeah. Talk about throwing me into the deep end, right? And it's not like it was hard. I put up a good fight, I thought.
No, you did. I think you got like 3rd or 2nd, something like that.
Yeah.
It was, 3 hours by the time we were done?
At least, yeah.
So the thing is with Scythe, the length of time scales by the number of players.
Yeah.
So in a 3-player game, you can relatively get that in an hour, hour and a half. In a 6-player game, that's going to be 3 hours, just because everybody's got to make their choices. Things got to be moved along.
Yeah.
A minimum number of plays for the full experience. That, to me, in expandability, has to go to
Scythe,
just for the simple fact of the expansion that adds a campaign to it.
Yeah, and then, but just because there is so much to do, like there's so many variables, you get in Blood Rage. Sorry, my dog alarm is going off. In Blood Rage, you're still drafting the same cards more or less. Whereas in Scythe, you could play each player or each character, and that is 6 different experiences that you're gonna have.
Yeah, I think so.
6 or is it 5?
I think it's we played a 6-player because of the expansion. I think it's only 4 to begin with. One of the expansions adds 2 more characters.
Yeah.
And then another expansion adds Zeppelins. Another expansion adds the campaign. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. So definitely, replay value goes to Scythe.
Yep. Meaningful choices is an interesting thing here. Impacting other players. You can hate draft and Blood Rage. Make sure they can't get the cards once you notice their pattern that they're doing.
Yep.
Scythe, you're not really impacting them all that much, except for like fighting them on the map or controlling an area that they used to own.
And really, like fighting them isn't fighting them. It's just kind of like, oh, well, I have a bigger number here, so
you
like
play a proper card. You use your military strength. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really a combat. It's.
However, impact of your long-term strategy.
Scythe.
I think that one goes to Scythe.
Yep, absolutely. And so, what is the other?
Arbitrary choices, I think, goes to Scythe as well. Just for the simple fact that if you make a mistake in Scythe, you may not climb back in.
Yeah, whereas in Blood Rage, you could shuffle. If you have a hand of full cards, shuffle them up, pick a good one, there you go.
Yeah.
You have a decent chance. So, yeah, okay. Meaningful choices goes to Scythe.
Game immersion. Theme matching mechanisms.
Okay.
They're both really good. I think, for me personally, it's going to go to Blood Rage because just for the theme matching, the mechanism, the drafting, you're making sure you're getting the right kind of gods, the right kind of cards, as well as what is your strategy? Are you playing, say, Odin, where you're trying to get meaningful deaths of your characters, or are you trying to play Loki, where you're like, kill them all?
Yeah.
Depending on what your strategy is on the card drafting,
right,
that's where it's going to match. The action selection is pretty much the same for everybody else.
But the thing is with as far as immersion and the theme matching the mechanisms, I don't see how drafting it feels like Norse battling versus you really are building an engine in this massive
and you're building an
inside,
empire, basically.
and you're building an empire. So evolving your player board and building up the resources to make it better. Uh, and not to say that Blood Rage doesn't have it. It's really close. I feel like the theme matching mechanisms goes to Blood Rage, whereas the player interaction go. I'm sorry, theme matching mechanism goes to Scythe.
Goes to Scythe.
Player
interacting
interaction
with other players goes to Blood Rage.
Yeah, and then memorable moments probably Blood Rage as well.
It's tough because there are memorable moments for me in Scythe.
Yeah.
But I think there are more memorable moments because when you play a card, you know that other person was trying to get, and they look at that and they go, "You son of a!"
Yep.
I wanted that card because it completed my set. Yeah, so I'll give you that. So we have, what, 2-2?
2-2, and it goes down to art and production. Oh, no.
Boy.
That's tricky.
Honestly, the art style I prefer, to me personally, I prefer the art style in Scythe.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I think it fits the lore, whereas there's the art style for Blood Rage, just for that art style, fits so many other Command games as well. When you look at the others, it's that same art style. When you look at Zombicide, it's that same. But like Rising Sun and Ankh, they changed that art style where they had their own personal art styles. Blood Rage to me just feels like any other game in the Command license.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. Well, the other thing I want to add to your point is the game Scythe was based on the art. It was a very abstract, surreal art or it wasn't abstract. It was just surreal because it was these giant mechs in like colonial times, and
it's during the Bolshevik era of Russia, so like the 1918s, the 20s era.
Yeah, right. And so the game really does bring out that artwork. Because you have the mechs, you are building your resources, you're doing effectively farming, and that art is, I do agree with you on that. So art would go to Scythe.
Pieces and components I think would go to Blood Rage because if you're just looking at the two base games, and none of the other stuff, the big component pieces for Scythe are the mechs. That's about it. Other than that, you have wood meeples. Whereas in Blood Rage, you have the cards that are really nice stock. You also have the minis. They have really beautiful minis.
Yeah, and really good quality minis too. I remember seeing Eric Lang play Hot Potato with one that had like all the tentacles. And he was like, wow, this is back like when they were changing over into like a really high quality plastic, and I want to say it was either Tom Vassell, Rado, is one of the reviewers, and they were talking to Eric Lang about it, and they said, hey, like, so how good is this? And Eric Lang just went, oh yeah, it's really good, watch, and then he like volleyballs like paddles it over to him, and then they're just like nervously like, oh god, like we don't want to drop this, it'll break. He's like, no, it's fine, I've dropped it all the time. It's the production on that, not to say that Jamie Stegmaier's is bad, because it's certainly not, but Blood Rage, like that quality is up there.
However, for me, the design I prefer in Scythe. It just fits the theme a lot better.
The graphic design?
The graphic design. The board fits really nice. The colors in it, the artwork on the map, in the cards, it overall just fits all together a lot better than Blood Rage. Because the big thing for going for Blood Rage are the minis. Yeah. And you have to paint the minis yourself.
Yeah, but then it's which one does the graphic designs help you understand the gameplay? And I do agree with like with Scythe, the fact that you are moving those tokens over.
Exactly. I was gonna actually mention that. It's like the board itself. You have the track here for morality. You got where you're placing your stars, so you know where they are, and you can keep track of who's got what at the top of the board. You have the war track or your military track on the bottom part of the board that you can keep track of, and so the board itself adds all this to it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Everything's open for everybody. Everybody can see where you're at on the track.
Yeah, considering how difficult the game is compared to a lot of games, the graphic design in Scythe really does help the player understand what to do and where everybody else is. and making those choices. So that would give it to Scythe, meaning 2 to 3 goes to Scythe, and Scythe versus Gloom Haven, our number 1 and 2 seed.
This is hard for me here. I love both of these games. I mean, I know who I'm rooting for because that's my number 1, but
yeah, I mean, I know which one I prefer over them. I do like Scythe, and I do like Gloom Haven a lot too. But I feel like I can make a fairly unbiased opinion to either of them.
And just before we move on and go to our finals, the crowdfunded total for Blood Rage was $905,000. $905,682. And they had a goal of $50,000. Mind you, this was back in like 2014, so this was before CMON was making millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So good job, CMON. Blood Rage was awesome. It gave a good fight, but just couldn't handle it, I guess.
No.
Just barely. That was probably one of the closest fights. We had to go down to graphic design.
So, yeah. It was just because art and design, I just think, fits Scythe so much better.
Yep. So with that being said, we're going to pause for a quick break, and then stay tuned. We will go on to the finals.